Hello, team. So this is gonna be a quick another webinar to go over the tickers that we pretty much talked about last week. This is gonna be about I guess what was alerted. We're gonna use a few just to make the video minimum about 10 minutes, just to explain the reason it was alerted when and specific charts, right? To explain it movements and stuff like that that end up running the profit that was alerted and before the run. So we're going to start off with TH and H. As you can tell here, this was alerted at 57.21. And it was pretty much mentioned to catch a dip or dips, 4-hour high, low as risk. And the chart that you see here is kind of this one, when it was before action. And then you're going to tell that you started dipping a little bit, and that's what the potential of catching dips, was mentioned, which led to a curl of running over 55. So for right now, what we're gonna do is pretty much explain why was this ticker called and how it was kind of looked into to make the alert. So we're gonna start off with pretty much here. Quick explanation, he has a 14 mil float, so he has a good range to run pretty good in cents. Just on 1 day run, he had for that day that he did the curl, he had a 17 million volume. So we're gonna pretty much go into here. I just don't know why this one's here. It's not supposed to be there. It's supposed to be RSI. Okay. So we're gonna do here, and we're gonna pretty much explain why the reason this ticker was called. And as you can tell here, we're gonna go back down to pretty much explanation of curl. When this ticker was first called, it had the momentum to push, let's say over 50, because we were pretty much sitting in this same candle, in the same day of 4 hours. So after Remo, it started curling up. But what I kind of caught my attention was that it was coming of a daily curl FETSO, but also in price action. Because if we zoom in here, you're gonna notice that, it had a nice little dragon dojis and momentum was curling. And then if you go at the 4 hours was uptrending, and it was actually even pushing an uptrend. So whenever I noticed, I started identifying other momentums, which actually was 4 hours. I mean, you can tell the momentum now is shifted. But whenever we whenever we were trading this ticker, it was setting up in a bullish mode. So first things first, we started at market opens, and market opens showed up this pretty much. And when he came up to me, I went and jumped into higher time frames. I saw the 4 hours uptrending. Then I saw the 1 hours, and I saw the 2 hours were matching the smooth uptrend. And I was like, okay, this had the potential to do what? To run at least a 55 when it was a 47. So we're gonna pretty much put support. Oh, wrong one. Let me do here. Guess I was using the wrong one. I'm gonna use this one. This one here, just to kind of put the supports and resistance. So we're gonna zoom out, and we're gonna pretty much show you guys, support and resistance, and based on action that I saw that we had the range to do. So we're gonna pretty much, let's say this part, it was kind of curling here, and it was pushing. So I had, based on momentum, sometimes you have to figure out range, where it's at, how much it has to the overbought. And that's how you can kind of predict range based on the ticker as well and float. It should help you, have a range of PT price target. So when it came down to this one, it was had the momentum uptrending of FETSO, multiple, time frames, and then it also had a curl of daily, but also what caught my attention was the weekly was coming off, such an oversold. But if you zoom on the momentum, it was kind of squeezing up at an S side oversold, the start of an uptrend, you know, of an oversold FEDSO. So that alone, I know that he had a nice little range because it was coming off an oversold. So if we go back to daily, you know, same curl. And remember, I'm focusing on momentum here. Also, little price action. Price action was just basing the range of the run of the momentum. So right here, you're gonna notice we had, you know, a supported resistance of 57. My PT was 55, which is, you know, this area of resistance a couple of times that was used also as support, which, you know, was right here because it was a man. You're gonna notice that he has supported resistance, and yeah, we were sitting at the 47 action of, let's go to 15 minutes. You know, we're sitting right here. And he actually ended up running 59. So I took profit from 55. I wasn't expecting 60, but you know, it had a small float. So, you know, that's a nice run for that float. So long story short here is when this ticker, you know, came onto my mind, I ended up putting supported resistance. I saw the momentum. We had the momentum looks, you know, shifting now because of the run that happened already. But before my intentions came to this ticker, you know, it was pretty much based on the momentum that the 4 hours was uptrending. We had a 1 hours uptrending, we had a 2 hours uptrending, and so on and so on. You know, a messy 1 hours, but a perfect 2 hours and a perfect 4 hours. Daily was coming out of an oversold, and weekly was on oversold. So I knew that if the volume was there of 16 mils, it had the potential to run the ticker. So remember, this ticker just all came based on just potential of the momentum. So remember that this was alerted here at the action of 40, 46, 47 curl to catch dips only. Curl 59.60, and then, you know, it ends up shifting, you know, dropping the momentum based on the higher time frames after running the push of price target. So this was THNH, and remember, sometimes just have to analyze that it's not just based, you know, on what he's doing, but on the momentum, how much of range. Price target are based on float and volume, and importantly, I guess the action of the ticker, you know, and what it's doing or what it wants to do, how it's holding the ABCs or holding the higher low, especially the previous low of pre-market. That's always key, is to hold the pre-market low to make sure that it can curl even some more, you know, because if the candle's uptrending in higher time frames, it's gonna try to hold those higher lows from previous days lows. Like this curl, you know, came to a low of 40, then came to a low of 41, and then came to a low of 44, and it kept curling, holding his higher low. So now let's go back to the other ticker, which was open. And for open, pretty much this one, let's just say the prediction was on point. It was beautiful because we called it at 855 and he ended up dipping around the 840 area, kind of building like an ABC, which you see here, kind of build like an ABC. The next day he runs in the PT, the price target. And so for here, we're gonna pretty much, you know, it was alerted for 9 price target and FEDSO, you know, based on the momentum, just imagine predicting a long day movement and to actually see that it's going to hold and run the price target. That needs a lot of knowledge, especially skills, because you're not just going to enter ticker and expect it to hold or not, and then, you know, let it drop, and then mentally you just start getting scared, and then, you know, it comes back up and you lose the main run. That's why knowledge has to kind of help you out when is the right time of opportunities, or especially holds, because emotions is, you know, it's practice based on attempts. So when it came to this one, and it was at 845 east, I mean 855, it dipped to 840, and then he ran, you know, holding the higher high, new HOD right here, running 9 the next day because he ran around 910. So this ticker was, you know, like I said, it was alerted for a reason of actually SPI, because SPI was bullish and then it had a high market cap. You know, I had a high market cap, so I had a feeling that it was going to, you know, follow SPI. You see 5 bill market cap, he had a high float of 500 mil. So when it came to this potential, I noticed that, pretty simple. Sometimes, like I said, I look at the action, but more importantly, I look at the momentum. That's what's going to tell me if he had the potential based on the buyers and he can push some more. So you're going to tell here that it was, pushing an uptrend, and it was already in this candle here of this action. Sorry, it was this one, because it continued the next day into 9. Reason being, you're going to tell the momentum was coming up and oversold, it curl up, right? And if you go into a weekly, you're going to notice the same thing. Weekly was kind of pushing an uptrend. It's the beginning of the RSI attempt to go into an overbought. And then the same thing for the Fed, so an attempt to go into an overbought. Then I saw a solid candle of weekly, which was building up in green. That gave me the idea that he could end up building a nice green candle just like this and end up closing strong into the 9 area, which was previous, high of this candle, which is 921. So I had a good feeling he could at least run over 9, but find that resistance under 920. So when it came to that, it was a little, it was a little hard. Not a little hard. It was actually pretty easy to guess the price target for this. Just that it was going to be monitored by the SPI, just for the reason being that, if SPI was going to pretty much flush based on news or some reaction like that, then the tick was going to flush the same thing. So now let's go back to, explaining price target and what happened. What caught my attention this ticker that day was volume. Because if you go back here, volume was strong pretty much in this ticker. And then whenever, it started pulling volume, I was like, okay, let me look up on the 4 hours and see what's doing in the high time frames. So I noticed that, we had a 4 hours uptrend. We had a 1 hour uptrend because remember, it was this one here when I was called. So it was in this part right here that it was uptrending. And, I confirmed with higher time frames that this one can end up faking and push even higher. Same thing with 2 hours, it was uptrending. But then I noticed the demand of daily was in full control, because you can kind of tell here when it pushes daily, price target pushes. When the daily downtrends, price actually downtrends with it. So I had a good feeling that it was going to keep pushing based on the momentum of daily. That's, it was pushing in the momentum, and then it was coming out of a weekly, actually oversold, pushing in the uptrending tensions on both momentums, which is RSI and Fed. So also price target to push the, the target into upside. Now, what made me hold this ticker for next day was the hold of previous day, right? It was, alerted here. We want to tell that it was, saying risk was that pre-market low of today's low, and that was the day of the push. Pre-market today's low, which I was mentioning earlier, that based on that low, we're gonna hold either a swing or run, the PT that same day. What was the market low? The pre-market low was this price target of 8. It was alerted here. So if we wanted to dip, it was either, also alerted to catch the dips, have the potential to catch dips, just because, it had the momentum to repush its high and push price target next day or same day. So knowing that SPI was going to be bullish the next day, because he had the potential to run 2 days, 1 day, the next day here. SPI had a little, tank day on the next day, but it did push early pre-market, early MO. Giving the potential to tickers to push also with it, and then, flush into the day, which SPI also did. But the price target came in, and, it was actually mentioned to have a risk level, not that price target was met. Because I was looking at SPI that had the potential to dip. And yeah, so I was like, okay, this I would take, a price target to risk as to keep gain. And from there, you don't lose most of the gain, that which is about 40 cents, 50 cents per share. So based on that momentum alone, I noticed that this one had the potential to keep pushing and in the same momentum of all time frames. So remember, key downs to come to these 2 tickers. It wasn't just price action. It was the momentum, the candles, how it was holding, the intentions, and not just on one time frames, but multiple time frames. I'm always checking all types of time frames, how we start, how we should end up, and what to expect. That alone, should give you the idea that it's not just, one decision. It's multiple resources to make your decisions, and base that trade, which is one trade, to make sure that you end up being right instead of wrong. So that's what I wanted to kind of go over today. It was a quick, webinar of a few minutes. So anything you have any questions, always make sure that you can message me on, Discord privately, or have questions anywhere, in the comment sections or stuff like that. So have a great day, teams, and I'll see you guys on the next webinar.